Podcast Network, Grown Men Conversations dealing with elephants in the room. What's going on? It's your man DB, man. Subscribe, like, share. I will leave the link below so you can let other people know about what's going on with the Elephant Man Podcast Network. What's good? Shalom, family. Good to see everybody. Good to hear from everybody. Today is pretty much part one of 3 parts about the FBI goals of the Cointel Pro. We can't go longer to this video, but I just want to just do a brief summary of the FBI goals of Cointel Pro. Okay, some people might have heard of it, and some people just might be brand new to you. But what is Cointel Pro? Okay, Cointel Pro, under the director of J Edgar Hoover, stands for Counterintelligence Program, and was aimed to investigating and disrupting political groups within the United States. So it's aimed at investigating and disrupting political groups within the United States. Who is J. Edgar Hoover? J. Edgar Hoover was the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation for 48 years, from 1924 until his death in 1972. They have many different specials out and shows about the life of J. Edgar Hoover on the History Channel and different things like that. So check it out. I didn't want to get all the way into it, but he was the director of FBI for 48 years, right? So this is a crazy thing right here. We always see this post. When the FBI director J. Edgar Hoover was asked, well, what in his opinion was the single greatest threats in the United States of America, his response was Negro unity. Take a moment and let that sink in. Negro unity. So his greatest threat in the United States is Negro unity. So we got crimes. They always call out the black on black crimes in Chicago. They're always calling out the prisons. We got a whole bunch of stuff going on. But his greatest threat is Negro unity. That's kind of weird, man. I would think if we were unified, we would have less people going to prison, less killings and murders and gang violence and drug war. It would be less, right? And I think that's what you would want when you being combative and having a war on drugs and stopping crime and going against crime. I would think that you would want Negro unity, because that will cut out the Negro adversity, right? So that's kind of interesting. He would say that. Quote that. Go look it up on Facebook. Go look it up on Wikipedia. Just go look it up on different sources on Google. Hoover had run-ins with Marcus Garv, right? Back in 1923, Marcus Garv was convicted of mail fraud, but he had some other things. Marcus Garv was a Pan-Africanist. I don't want to get into the history of Brother Marcus Messiah Garvey, but he wanted to take Africans and African Americans, so-called African Americans, the African Americans in this country back to Africa. He bought a ship. He had a paper going. He was raising money, and he was just trying to take African Americans back to Africa. And he wanted the one of the original people who had introduced the flag that we use, or the colors that we use today. He was a Pan-Africanist, and he used those colors, red, black, and green. So he was the genesis of using those colors, red, black, and green, that we see today when representing or talking about African American people or African people over this area. COINTEL Pro. In 1960s, COINTEL Pro frequently included civil rights activists, those espouse nonviolence like Martin Luther King, but those Hoover referred to as black nationalist hate groups like the Black Panthers. Black Panthers were considered a black nationalist hate group because they stood up to the bully of oppression, and they probably parallel Black Panthers to the KKK. Black Panthers didn't blow up churches and do all those different things, but when you talk back or when you stand up to the oppressor, to the bully, then you consider a hate group. They might be talking slick, and I seen where they coloring books. how they depicted police as pigs and stuff like that. It was kind of weird, but I think it was the hate that hate made. Not to bring up Paris. Paris was a rapper back in the 90s from San Francisco area. It's kind of crazy. In practice, the FBI used infiltration, legal harassment, disinformation, and sometimes extra illegal intimidation and violence against King, the Panthers, and other black activist groups in the attempt to discredit and disrupt them. I'm going to read that again. In practice, the FBI used infiltration, legal harassment, disinformation, and sometimes extra legal intimidation and violence against King, the Panthers, and other black activist groups in the attempt to discredit and disrupt them. Okay? Remember, he said he didn't like that black unity. That was a threat. So people will come up and have these different groups and organizations to care for their community, and he didn't like that. He had it out both for Martin and Malcolm. Now, I'm not saying he had something actually do with both of their death, but he had people plan it. You know what I'm saying? In those different organizations and groups and tapping wires, and they don't have to do it now because they just be connected to it via the internet, and they can just go on your live or go on your show or whatever. You know, excuse me. Usually, people use the platform of YouTube or Facebook or different things like that. So it's easier to get information. Not that they was hiding any information, but he had it out for both of them. Okay. They have papers. The FBI chief calls Martin Luther King the most notorious liar in the country. And so they used to run ads like this. Look at this ad, 1963. Angry Malcolm X Blast Robinson, right? And they called it, this other paper said, the man who hates whites. So they would run propaganda news headlines. And so what that's going to do, that's going to stir up the people, stir up the hate for Malcolm, for Martin, for Stokely Carmichael, for the Black Panther Party. So you're going to stir up those hate groups because of these headlines. Negro unity was the greatest fear. Who did not like the unity of the Black Panther Party? Because they were not a hate group as they were made out to be. And Fred Hampton, Stokely Carmichael, a lot of those guys, Huey P. Newton, they knew the law inside and out. Matter of fact, Huey P. Newton was a doctor. He got his doctorate degree. He did his dissertation and everything, but they would never show that. They would show him a militant, portray him and show him as a militant, hating African, national Africanist, right? The Black Panthers had free lunch programs for the youth. And if you go to, I want to say the Gustavo, man, I don't want to mess it up, but it's a African American museum in Chicago. This board, this teal looking board to the left, they actually got this in that museum. It's so cool, man. It's a free breakfast for children served here Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party. And so they would get these different kids in the neighborhood and eat, let them eat and talk to them, you know what I'm saying? Because we had money problems in the west side of Chicago and the south side of Chicago. And so they would set up these different breakfast programs. Now, if they hate groups and they was nationalists and all of that different things, and they would go and be starting trouble and stuff. They were setting up these groups. But guess what? That's unity, right? Look right here. They were uniform and unified against oppression. So they wasn't different. They was different than the KKK, in my opinion. I know you might say, oh, he's a biased opinion. But in my opinion, look, you see their faces. They don't have their faces covered up. I believe a lot of the reasons why the KKK had their faces covered up, not because of the spook or the scare factor, because a lot of these was doctors and lawyers and judges and police and people in high places. So if they was to show their face like these young men on this picture right here, then it would be hey, that's officer so and so. Hey, that's judge so and so. You know what I mean? And you couldn't really effectively do what you need to do. That would stir up even more controversy. Okay, but these young brothers right here, they got their face out, they got their berets on, and they really, stand up against oppression and injustice. The BPP had influence over the youth. Look at this picture right here. These young black men got their fists raised. You know what I'm saying? This is the thing. They would talk to them about who they were during these breakfasts, right? And they were getting influenced, right? This will be a next generation. And that's mighty funny how, when we have gang affiliations, and that's like an extension of family, right? And you have that next group coming up that they had 11, 12, 13. They looking up to big cousin, big uncle, and all them. And then they following the footsteps and the path of their people, their peers. And this is the same thing too. And so J. Edgar Hoover's like, oh, bro, it's gonna be a whole nother different level of Black Panther Party young men coming up. And they did not. This picture to some looks radical and fearful, bring a lot of fear to a lot of people. Okay, okay, I read that one. Sorry. Okay, here are the goals, and then we're gonna get out of here. COINTEL Pro goals to stop the threat of Black nationalist hate groups. 1, prevent the coalition of militant Black national groups. In unity, there is strength. An effective coalition of Black nationalist groups might be the first step towards real Mau Mau, or Black Revolutionary Army in the United States, the beginning of a true Black revolution. So prevent the coalition of military Black nationalist groups. 2, prevent the rise of a Messiah who could unify, electrify the militant Black nationalist movement. So they looked at Malcolm X as like a Messiah, or a figure or a leader, right? He is the martyr of the movement today. Martin Luther King, Stokely Carmichael, and Elijah Muhammad all inspired to this position. This was written in the 60s. Elijah Muhammad is less of a threat because of his age, right? They didn't peep the whole scene out. Elijah Muhammad had the Nation of Islam going on and stuff like that in Chicago and Harlem, New York, and different other places. King could be a contender for the position should he abandon his supposed obedience to white liberal doctrines of nonviolence and embrace Black nationalism. I'm about to read the blue again. King could very well be a contender for this position of being a Messiah, right? Or a leader, should he abandon his supposed obedience to white liberal doctrines of nonviolence and embrace Black nationalism. That is crazy. If he abandoned that, the nonviolent march and protests and all of that, he can be a threat. So whether you armed to the tooth and out here and doing different things, or whether you nonviolent, just locked up singing songs and getting water hoses sprayed at you and dogs chasing you, and they're still a threat. Okay. 3, prevent violence on the part of Black nationalist group. This is the primary importance and is, of course, a goal of our investigative activity. It should also be the goal of counterintelligence program to pinpoint potential troublemakers and neutralize them before they exercise their potential for violence. So they were scared that we was going to do to them what they've been doing to us for over 400 years. So they want to neutralize them, prevent violence. Which that's a good goal. You want to prevent violence. 4, prevent militant Black nationalist groups and leaders from gaining respectability by discrediting them to 3 separate segments of the community. The goal of discrediting Black nationalists must be handled tactfully in 3 ways. You must discredit those groups and the individual. So, to take away the respect and the honor and of these different groups and people. First, the responsible Negro community. I guess the responsible Negro community must be the middle class and the ones who the law-abiding citizens. Second, they must be discredited to the white community, both the responsible and to the liberals who have vestige of sympathy for militant black nationalists. So they was basically saying, we got to discredit these groups to the white community. Responsible, I guess that means right, the right wing. Because liberals, because they said liberals will have sympathy towards the black militant nationalists. Okay. Third, these groups must also be discredited in the eyes of Negro radicals. So that's the two groups going against each other, right? To tear up. And it's pretty interesting how this going on right here. As long as we had each other's neck, you know what I mean? Israel going against the urban apologetic community and all of these different things. And we can't sit down and have a civil conversation. We can agree or disagree, and we might not believe the same, but for us to have a sit down and have a respectful conversation is not what they want. So they must be discredited within the eyes of each other, right? And I remember, I think Bobby Seale got on Donahue or Merv Griffin or one of those shows, and they had some other leaders on the phone, and they was going at it back and forth. You know what I mean? That dissension and that going back and forth, right? So one, against the responsible Negro community, those are the affluent and influent, and the ones that has money and power. Because if they get aboard and take heed to what these black groups are saying, then they got the power and influence, and they got the power and influence to influence other people, right? Second, they must be discredited by the white community, like we said, and third, in the eyes of other Negro radicals. Look at my email down at the bottom. If you want this document, I will give you the link to where this document is, or I will send it to you, right? So that's crazy. So they want to discredit and the respect. So that's usually what propaganda is, right? Before you can go to war or get somebody to agree with you, you have to discredit and have propaganda against a group or against a person or against people, right? You have to have propaganda against them in order for people to buy in to what what you want to propose and what you want to do. Because people are like, hey man, I don't see nothing wrong with him. I don't see nothing wrong with them. So you got to demonize and discredit people. Okay. 4, COINTEL Pro's stop the black nationalist hate groups. 5, final goal should be prevent long-range growth of militant black organizations, especially among the youth. So they say prevent the long-range growth of militant black organizations, especially among the youth. I'm going back to that picture with those young men eating breakfast and getting information from the Black Panther Party. They're like, man, you for us, bro, for real, right? And so whatever you tell them, you have a great deal of influence on the youth. You know what I'm saying? You done gave me some food, and you have my best interests in mind. Man, they are diehards, the younger people. So it's like we have to stop that. We have to stop that. So the 50s, the 60s, and the early 70s, they had put out a lot of plans, but COINTEL Pro was one of the main plans. And now we have different gatekeepers. We have different people that are on the payroll, the KZR payroll, the left payroll, I should say, who gets money, right? And we give them money, we give them shows and give them prestige and let them host shows and give them talk shows and all of that. But that's a dangling carrot, right? Don't nobody want to lose. But those who are drawn by the lust of the flesh, lust of the eye, pride of life, don't nobody want to lose their endorsement, right? Your Gatorade endorsement, your show, your book deal, your whatever you got going on, that's a dangling carrot. I call it hush money. And that money is to get you to not step up and stand out. And I never understood how our brothers would grow up in the hood, go to the NBA combine, become an NBA, and I mean, some guys will come back and throw a little basketball camp and give out some T-shirts, but not really come back and really do major things in the community. And they are multimillionaires. Pull like a Shark Tank move with all these different athletes, right? Professional athletes. Go back to your hood. You know the hood is toe up. Go back to your hood and pour into them. Some do, but majority don't. And I never understood that until the Ruach revealed to me why. Here's why. You have to separate yourself. In so many words, they tell you have to separate yourself from that group. And then, too, it's like a George Jefferson thing. We were moving on up to the east side. So if I'm moving up and out away from you, then I can't come back and help you. And then 3, classism. So we got racism and we got classism. But classism is like we're upper echelon now. You know what I'm saying? We on another class. We're on another level. We're celebrities now. So we can't go back and help. And I'm not, shout out to all of the celebrities that do it. Go back and hook up the community. I'm just talking about at large. If he got 44 million, he got 10 million, he got 5 million. This NFL player got 2 million. You know what I'm saying? That's some good money. If you put 4 or 5 of them guys together, I mean, you don't have to go to the bank and get a loan. People, they hate I'm talking like this. You don't have to go get a loan. Man, you got a few of them guys come together. You got a full-fledged idea together, but you can't get it off the ground because you don't have the finances to get it off the ground. Man, these bros come together, finance it and back it, and bam. And do that a couple of times, bam. A lot of the athletes die broke. A lot of the athletes die, when they're in their prime, they got all that money. So if that's the deal in the contract and the money that they're given, how much more are the owners? That's what Chris Rock said. The athletes are rich, but the people who cut their check are wealthy. It's a difference between being rich and wealthy, but I digress. I want to get back on this. So prevent the long-range growth of militant Black organizations, especially among youth. They don't want the youth to get involved. Okay, why is that? Why did it come up twice? Okay, and this is from the Wiki post. When you go into the Wikipedia, type in Cointel Pro. All right, and they got a broader of who they're going after. They put anti-Vietnam War organizers, Ku Klux Klan, Nation of Islam, Black Panther Party, stuff like that. But for the most part, they put feminist organizations in there, Communist Party. But for the most part, they was going for those Black nationalist groups, in my opinion. And then they say this, look, COINTEL Pro was from 1956 to 1979 and beyond. Right, and beyond. Right? And it said it was covert and illegal. You got the government to tell you to be illegal. Don't take the law in your own hands doing stuff that's covert and illegal. I don't believe this program ended in 1979. They call it something else and they package it a different way. Right? I don't believe COINTEL Pro ever stopped, because there's always something going on, right? Okay. COINTEL tactics are still used to this day and have been alleged to include in discrediting, targeted through psychological warfare, smearing individuals and groups using forged documents, and by planting false reports in the media. That's propaganda, gal. Harassment, wrongful imprisonment, like you could just lock somebody up, and illegal violence, including assassination. Illegal violence, including assassination. Hope I'm saying that right. Assassination. There you go. According to a Senate report, the FBI motivation was protecting national security, preventing violence, and maintaining an existing social and political power. So in that they're going for censorship right now, and they're going for these different groups in order to protect national security, right? And you see how it is right now, even with Black Lives Matter and stuff. And the owners, they don't even support the nucleus family, the regular nuclear family. The man, the woman, and the child, right? It's the man, and woman, right? They got. That's why I say, man, just because it says black on it, it's a phrase, it's a slogan, but it's a Trojan horse behind it. It's not authentic. It's a covert mission that's using our oppression and using our things that we're going through to push their agenda, right? And so it's real interesting how that is. You have no allies but Yahusha Hamashiach. That's the only allies. We got a few people. Shout out to those who coming out and helping out. But the main point at the end of the day, your only ally is Yahusha HaMashiach. You even see how the racist white, the WASP, the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, the racist white Anglo-Saxon Protestant churches acted. Shout out to those who are white and still holding it down, you know. But for the most part, if you don't vote how they vote, like who they like, do what they do, play a game as Simon says, and be intimidated, manipulated, and gaslighted by them, they will ostracize you, right? Everybody was loving Eric Mason. He came out with Woke Church. Him, Damon Richardson, and all those guys, the other UA community come out with Woke Church. And man, the crap hit the fan, right? Because it's getting away. It looks like another gospel. And it's getting, and they call it the sin of nationalism and social gospel is a sin. I don't understand how social dealing with the people, right? Jesus, Yahusha gave 5 loaves and 2 fishes before he gave the word, or as he gave the word, or after he gave the word. That's social. He deal with the ills, right? He said, give Caesar what Caesar and give God what's God. That's social, right? People don't want to. People think they're gonna lose something if they deal with the social ill, or it's gonna make them look bad. But they're real tough on homosexuality. They're real tough on abortion. You know what I'm saying? And these groups, the left group, the left this, the left that, what you do? You just squeaky clean, huh? You just holy and righteous. And the left is off the chain. And I'm not coming to the aid of the left. I'm not left or right. So I'm saying left wing, right wing, same bird. Feel what I'm saying? But I'm saying y'all just squeaky clean, huh? But the communists and the socialists and the social gospel and the BLM and the homosexuals, and they're trying to take and they're trying to, man, it might be time for a change. I ain't saying their way is the way. Matter of fact, I know it's time for a change because you doing stuff like this. Feel me? But anyway, let's get back to it. Beginning in 1969, leaders of the Black Panther Party were targeted by Cointel Pro and neutralized by being assassinated, imprisoned, publicly humiliated, falsely charged with crimes. Some of the Black Panthers affected were Fred Hampton, Mark Clark, Zaida Shakur. That person might be kin to Tupac Shakur. I'm gonna check on that. Geronimo Pratt, Mumia Abdul Jamal. I'm sorry if I'm tearing the name up. Marshall Conway. Common tactics used by Cointel Pro was perjury, witness harassment, witness intimidation, and withholding of evidence. That ain't the just court of law. Do you think they're still doing that today? Yes. Assassination, imprisonment, lock you up, public humiliation, propaganda, false charges on crime. That's terrible, right? Perjury, witness harassment, intimidation, witness intimidation, withholding of evidence. Doing all of that so you can neutralize or stop what's going on. Okay, so I ain't gonna go all the way into all of that. Let's go. So I'm gonna read these definitions and then I'm gonna get out of here, man, because this video getting long. 1, disrupting, to distort, damage, warp, or throw into disorder. This is what these people do. 2, infiltration. I'm sorry, I put inflation. Sorry, supposed to say infiltration. The process of gradually permeating or becoming a part of something, right? That's what the Black Lives Matter doing. They're infiltrating, and they did it back then. They're infiltrating. I'm your friend. Are they doing you wrong? Or let me come alongside you and help you. You infiltrate, but then you spray BLM on builders and set builders on fire, and they think it's us. And I know we got some crazies out there. Now the looting, we are running out with TVs and stuff. You feel what I'm saying? You people are, and I'm not justifying that at all. It's terrible, but I'm saying cats ain't working. Uh, you know what I'm saying? Non-essential workers and all of that, and you got Target wide open. Some cats gonna take advantage of that. I'm not doing that because I'm not getting hit upside the head by somebody else that want a TV, and I'm not going to jail. You're gonna have to put me in jail for righteousness' sake, and I'm gonna preach the gospel in jail until I'm wiped out or until they let me out. All right? Harassment, bother, persecution, and badgering. Disinformation. How you gonna sow disinformation? You're supposed to be righteous, but you're sowing disinformation. False information, which is intended to mislead. Look, they use the word propaganda issued by a government organization to rival. Are they doing this today? Listen to this. Intimidation, menacing, alarming, frightening, violence. We already know what violence is. Behavior involving physical force intent to hurt, damage, or kill. Steal, kill, and destroy. John 10:10. Neutralize. Military intelligence to render something ineffective or harmless. To render something ineffective or harmless by applying an opposite force or effect. Misdirect. Send to the wrong place or wrong direction. Misdirect is like miseducation. The miseducation of the Negro, Carter G. Woodson. Listen to that download. Aim something in the wrong direction. Instruct wrongly. Apply something wrongly or inappropriate. Why would you want to misdirect somebody? I thought you was pure, holy, and righteous. Right? And 9, counterbalance. Neutralize or cancel by exerting an opposite. So they're going to counterbalance. So you going in one direction, they're going to counterbalance it to throw it off and misdirect it. That's crazy. And all of these tactics are still being used today. If you look at these still, man, I'm telling you. Excuse me. They're still being used today, man. So it's crazy. I'm going to close in the scripture. Psalms 83. All right. 1 through 5. Keep not thy silence, O Yahweh. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Yahweh. For lo, my enemies make a tumult, and they hate thee. They that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may no more be in remembrance. Verse 5. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. A confederacy, an army, confederate, a confederate. Think about that Confederate flag, right? Think about the American flag. It's a Confederate, right? And I'm not anti-American. I'm not anti none of that. You know, I'm anti-malarkey, garbage. Feel what I'm saying? So you can't say that the Black Panther Party is the same as the Ku Klux Klan. Come on, man. Read the stuff, the terror of the Ku Klux Klan, burning crosses on your lawns during the Black Codes, during Jim Crow era, intimidating, terrorizing you. You feel what I'm saying? Just doing all kind of stuff. I'm not making one look like the Angels and one make look like something else. But I'm just saying, come on, man. You know they're not the same. Those are a group of people that came together and tried to stand up against the bully legally. They wasn't some radicals with some illegal guns. They had issued their right to bear arms, and they issued the different things like that. When people would get pulled over, they would jump out the car 4 deep and make sure that sister or brother was all right, because they was getting police brutality back in the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, even to this day. And they don't want us to handle it in our own way. So they say, you know what, come bring it to court. And then they get thrown out to court by the DA and because it's one of their people. No, they need to be held accountable. They should be judge, jury, and executioner out on the streets, and they go home and eat a sandwich. What kind of? But I digress. If they get held accountable for their actions, Like we supposed to be held accountable as a community. We blink wrong, we sell a Lucy cigarette. That's illegal. They should be held accountable the same way. And it will be less of that. Like, bro, I can lose my job. I can get locked up, right? I can get prosecuted. But they're all working together. They're all working together because they had this meeting. Well, I ain't gonna talk about that meeting, but I am gonna do another video about it. But they all working together, conspire, confederate against Yahuwah and his anointed, right? And not just black people, brown people. I mean, it's just time out for the garbage. If you supposed to be to serve and protect, then that's what you're supposed to do. If we're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, then that's what we're supposed to do. You can't kill somebody if they committed a crime. Lock them up, take them in, charge them with whatever. We know you're going to slap more charges on there. But at the same time, at least they made it to court and not died in the street because they got pulled over for a taillight and never make it home. That's ridiculous, man. But anyway, I digress because let's go into another show. Elephant Man Podcast Network, Grown Man Conversations, dealing with elephants in the room. Like, subscribe, share. I challenge you to share this with 3 other people. Let's grow this channel, y'all. All right, shalom.
Perfect.